You often talk about getting a great education on 95th Street and Columbus Avenue. What school is there?
The School of Hard Knocks. 95th Street in Columbus was the center of where my gang hung out when I was a kid. I lived on Central Park West, but I hung out on 95th in Columbus. And I started hanging out there, God Lord, when I was 10 years old. And then you just move up the ladder as you get older in those situations. That, you hang out with kids that are within a couple of years of your age. So when you're 12, the guys in your gang are between 10 and 14. And then the youngest of the next bunch up, eventually it works its way out. So when you get to be 13 or 14, now you're with the gang of guys that are in their teens. And then, of course, once you pass that, you go into the real world out there. You get jobs, careers, whatever. But you still kind of hang out for a while until the marriages start taking everybody away. And so I hung out on 95th Street and Columbus Avenue, and what an education I got. I got an education about life and the things that you're supposed to do. My parents taught me a lot of it, but it was like postgraduate work to hang out. We had a baseball team that played over in Central Park. We had a football team. Some of the guys belonged to one or the other. Some of the guys belonged to both. Some of them didn't belong to either one, but they still kind of hung out because we played games out on the street. Our playground were the streets. We played everything in the world, either on the sidewalks or the streets. And we learned how to have a society work. We believed in and we lived a world of loyalty to your friends and your fellows. We respected women. We were gangs, but not in the sense of today. We didn't carry weapons. We didn't need any weapons. We had no reason to have them. And we didn't mark our territory. The last thing in the world we wanted to do was to make our neighborhoods look like crap. We had too much respect for our parents and for the neighbors and for everybody to do that. And we respected our women. If anybody ever called one of our girls, any girl in the neighborhood, if somebody ever called them a hoe or a bitch or any of that kind of stuff, that guy would never walk off the corner, I guarantee. He wouldn't make it home because we would not stand for that stuff for 1 minute. And so we were good guys. And loyalty, oh my God, the loyalty we had to each other. If a guy got in trouble when we were younger, and if somebody got in trouble, it was over in Central Park or it was a block away. And if somebody yelled Yamo, that meant that they needed help. And by God, if you heard Yamo coming from down that street, you went down there to find out. You didn't bother to find out what the odds were or anything like it. You went down to help your guy out. And then we got older, and some guy would be at some kind of a festival somewhere, and they'd get into a battle, and they'd have a couple local guys threatening them or waiting outside. And the next thing you know, they'd call the candy store or the bar where we had my neighborhood, and a bunch of guys piled into a cab and went down and saved the guy's butt. And we did that kind of thing, and we learned loyalty. We had loyalty to our country. God, we loved our country so much. And when our country went to war, we enlisted. Every guy in my neighborhood eventually went into the service as they got old enough. I don't mean we all went down together and enlisted the day after Pearl Harbor. What I do mean is that I don't think anybody was drafted. In other words, when somebody would turn 17 or 18, they would enlist. And there they go. And then we came back after the war. And the loyalty that we had is so overwhelming, and I can give you just one example of it. When I came back from the big war, Hey, we all got together. Now we're men. We're not kids anymore. But the old gang gets together. And I went to one of my good friends, Jack Britton, later became a New York cop. And I went to Jack and I said, Jack, I need some money. Are you flush enough that you have a couple of bucks you can spare? And I don't know, he must have just been there because he had his bank book in his pocket, of all things. And he took out his bank book and a withdrawal slip. And he signed the withdrawal slip and he handed it to me. I mean, that's the kind of guys we were. And that's the loyalty that we had to each other. And I also learned how to sing as a group. I don't know how good I was, probably pretty terrible. But believe it or not, these guys that hung out together, that were hard guys, as that one song says, we were rough and ready guys, but oh, how we could harmonize. And we used to at night, after we drank soda when we were younger and after we drank beer when we were older, we, we would be hanging out on some stoop in front of some building, singing some song until finally neighbors would complain and we'd move someplace else. And you know what? There's a song, Heart of My Heart, and it ends, we were rough and ready guys as part of it. We were rough and ready guys, but oh, how we could harmonize. And at the end of the song, they said, I'm sure a tear would glisten if once more I could listen to the gang say, Heart of My Heart.